can't give me the right to be a human being. I'm born with that right. Now, you can keep me from having that if you've got all the policemen and all the jobs on your side.
And welcome back to another Counter Economy show, and thank you for joining me for this edition. The focus on today's show is going to be the medical industrial establishment. As many of you may know, if you've been with my channel for a while, I have a son with cerebral palsy, so I've been pretty intensely involved with the medical establishment through his childhood, and he is now 19 years old. So I've been dealing with it for quite a while and been exposed to how the industry works. And we'll get into that a little bit during this episode, but we will have many more episodes on the medical establishment and how it is not there to help us, at least the way it's set up. I'm not saying the people within it aren't trying to help us and doing what they think is good, but the system, the centralized system of control through the Rockefeller School of Medicine, specifically here in the United States, is not here to cure what ails us. They're here to treat them so they can keep retreating them or treat something else that is a side effect from whatever they did to you to treat the first problem. Anyways, I won't get into that a whole lot right now. I'm going to bring you a personal experience because that's what I think we need to start doing. It's hard to venture out of the medical industrial complex because insurance doesn't tend to cover things when you do that. You have to pay for things out of your own pocket. And even in the United States here, we are on a socialized medical system. Whether you want to say that or not, it is true. Just for an example, I'll give you with my son. He uses a communication device, basically an iPad. We get it through a certain company. Dynavox is the name of the company. When we had to replace it a few years ago, it's a very expensive device. Through insurance and everything, it ends up costing almost $10,000. It's like just over $9,000. So it's real expensive. It's because they say it's a medical device. Of course, it has all this specific programming on it. So long story short, when we needed to replace one, we looked at just buying the software, which you can do through the iTunes App Store or the Google Play Store. You can buy the actual software and download it to an iPad. At the time, you couldn't download it to an Android app, even though the program itself was written through Android. But you could download it through like a Microsoft tablet or phone or any kind of iPad or anything like that. You could purchase it. I believe it was $250 through the store, through the App Store, and then just download it, and you'd have it forever. You wouldn't have to worry about going through insurance or anything like that. You'd just have the program. You would have to go out and purchase a tablet. But I looked into it. Like at the time, I could get a used iPad for my son for like $200. So for around $450 plus maybe some tax, maybe we'll say $500 tops, we would have had a complete standalone device with the software that we needed for my son to be able to communicate. Well, as it turns out, we ended up going through insurance. I won't get into the specifics of that, but I do have an ex-wife, as many of you know, so we have to come to an agreement on things. So in order to get him what he needed, we came to an agreement to get him the one through insurance. And basically what it boiled down to is she didn't want to have to pay out of pocket for the tablet and the software when we could go through insurance, and our copay was only like $200. So it saved us, roughly $300 in getting the software and the tablet for my son. But we went through Dynavox, got their tablet and everything, and it ended up costing us less as individuals, but society, it costs more because society is paying for some of my son's equipment and treatment through insurance. Thereby, instead of us just using the cheaper one that we could easily replace if something happened to the iPad, we could just go buy a new one, another used one for a couple $100. Whereas this one, when it gets replaced, we have to go through a warranty claim first to see if it's under warranty. Then we have to go through an insurance claim. So it's a real convoluted process. In addition to, instead of only costing about $500 all said and done, it costs over $9,000 all said and done. And that's just because it was cheaper for us out of pocket to go through insurance. So that's kind of my point of this episode, is we need to start breaking out of the medical industrial complex and the centralized control grid that it has over all of our healthcare, and we need to start finding new things. And so I'm going to start off right now. What I'm doing today is not a paid advertisement. I have not been paid anything by either of these people. I just like their products. I've used both of them. So I'm going to promote them and talk about them a little bit in an effort to push in a decentralized medical system where we can all think for ourselves and use doctors for their information, but we all process things and make our own choices rather than have the doctor tell us how we're going to be treated, which is what most of us do. Okay, so that being said, let me just dive right into it. I developed a hernia over the past year and a half, and for the last year, actually last up until about 2 months ago, I didn't do anything about it. I just let it go. And I let it get pretty big and pretty uncomfortable. So I started looking into how to treat it, and the only treatment options I saw were basically through the medical industrial complex. The only treatment option I saw was to get surgery, a hernia mesh device put in. So they say that the area that the hernia is in, the tissue can't really repair itself and close up, so they put this mesh. I don't know if it's made out of plastic, I don't really know, but they put that and they actually sew it in over where the tear is in your tissue, your body tissue. So that is basically the only option that the medical industrial complex offers. And when I started looking into it, there's all sorts of complications with it. A lot of people, there's actually several lawsuits against the manufacturers of these mesh hernia devices. So that's a big red flag to me. But then I also just started understanding that if you go in for this surgery once, you're probably going to have it multiple times. Seems like there's not very many people that only have to go in and have it once and it's all taken care of. There are complications with the mesh itself tearing off of your tissue. So it didn't seem very effective, and I'm not into invasive procedures like that. That's an invasive procedure to cut my body open and put a foreign object inside of my body. So to move on, I started looking at other options, some natural options, and I came upon this website, Hunter's Natural Health. And it did take me a while before I actually took the plunge and decided to use their treatment. But they actually have right here at the very top a hernia bundle. So what it contains is hernia poultice, herbal poultice, which is made mainly of comfrey. You just put this on at night and you leave it on overnight for like 8 to 12 hours. You just literally put it right on your poultice. Excuse me, this is the poultice. You put it directly on your hernia. There's hernia belts you can buy. It helps hold it in place and helps with some other things. I would recommend getting one of those if you are experiencing discomfort from a hernia. So the poultice, like I said, it's just like ground up. It's comfrey leaf is the main thing they put in there. I'm going to pull it out of this package so you can see it a little bit better. This is frozen. I keep them in the freezer, so that's why it's white like this. But yeah, it just comes wrapped in like a little piece of plastic they put on there, a Ziploc bag they cut down. So I keep the plastic on one side so it doesn't mess up my clothes, and I just put that side right against my skin. And then wear that at night. I have been doing it. I've been using these for about a month and a half now. I haven't been very consistent, but I have seen some pretty good results. But before I get into that, I want to go ahead and show you the rest of what I'm taking here. So let's see here. The next one is, so the herbal combination for a hernia, it comes here. This is an oral thing. The rest of what I'm taking are all oral things. We'll try to get that up there a little closer. So what this has in it is, it has Solomon seal root, some probiotics, and marshmallow root powder. So this is something, it doesn't really taste good. You just mix it in with some juice or some water in the morning on an empty stomach. A teaspoon of this, just mix it in real good and drink it. It's pretty easy to go down. Doesn't taste horrible, but it's not necessarily good. It's just harder to get down because the roots kind of tend to absorb some of the water, so you got to mix it up really well. But that's one of the things I'm also taking. So what that helps with is any inflammation in my digestive tract, and also the probiotics and the marshmallow root actually do help with the health of my digestive tract as well, which is what my hernia affects. So that's why that's in there. The next thing they have that I'm taking for this hernia bundle is nanocolloidal copper. So that's what I got here. This is a liquid. I take a teaspoon of this every morning as well. At the same time, I take the other oral treatment. And that is actually supposed to help. I think the main thing that the colloidal copper does, if I'm correct, is it helps with the elasticity of my tissue. That just helps it. So if I'm doing a lot of work and the hernia kind of gets irritated, it will help. It won't tear the tissue again, or help from keeping the tissue be torn more or again. I already explained what the compound is. So the poultice, the main, so it has, I can't remember all of the ingredients in here, but the two main ones that I remember are colloidal silver and comfrey leaf. So the colloidal silver works as like a kind of like a disinfectant. Helps keep bacteria and stuff away. But the comfrey leaf is actually, my understanding is the leaf actually helps regrow tissue at a much faster rate than we naturally do. Of course, the FDA, if you look this up, they're going to say it's toxic and you probably shouldn't use it. They're going to tell you definitely not to ingest it. I don't ingest it. I know other people have, so I don't think that's horrible. I would caution you to just be careful and do your own research. It does say on the FDA's website that it's toxic at certain levels. Well, in the past, I've looked at what would make it toxic. I didn't look for this specifically because I don't really listen to the FDA anymore. But in the past, I was looking at the apricot seed for treating cancer, and whatever it is in the seed, I can't even remember right off the top of my head. But the FDA basically said, "Oh, this is toxic. You can't take. It's got like arsenic in it or something, I think." And basically, what it comes down to is you probably couldn't eat enough of those apricot seeds in a day to actually cause like an imbalance in your system and have so much arsenic in your system that it would actually cause a problem. I'm no doctor. I haven't done the actual research. I just read a bunch of things on it. That's my opinion on it. Like I said, anytime you guys are dealing with your health, I would recommend you do your own research. Don't rely on other people's. Read all sorts of research so you can come to a well-rounded conclusion of how you need to handle things. So those are the three things I'm taking for my hernia, and I just want to say after about a month and a half of treating it, I haven't been very regular about treating it, so that's probably the biggest issue, but it has helped immensely. The size of my hernia has shrunk a huge amount, so I'm very excited about that. I don't know if it will completely go away. They do make claims on the website here that it will actually make it go away. I don't know that it will actually disappear all the way. Supposedly it will disappear so you won't be able to see it, but I don't know that the tear in my tissue will actually heal itself all the way where I won't have to worry about dealing with my hernia anymore. So I do have a couple of those hernia belts. I'm wearing one right now, but I'll just throw this up. It's just, you can get them on online retailers. It just goes around your waist. It has this little pad here that goes right over where your hernia is and ways to strap it there. So if I would have gone through the medical establishment to get this treated, yes, it probably would have cost me less. So far, it's cost me about $600. Like I said, if I'd have been better at the treatments early on, been more consistent with taking them, it probably would be further along, but I did just have to order another 1 month supply basically of the Poultice just because I want to make sure I get this knocked out and get it taken care of the right way this time. So I did do that, but you can see right now it's on sale. This is about a 2-week supply of this Poultice. When you order it, it's $73.95, and insurance doesn't cover that, so you have to come up with that out of your own pocket. And I think that is the biggest detriment right now, why people are still going with the medical establishment and big pharma rather than trying some of these natural cures, is it's harder to do the natural cures. You either have to go find the things yourself, forage for them, purchase them, and make the medicine yourself, or you have to find someone else with the knowledge to help you out and do that for you, which is part of what this episode is about with Hunter's Natural Health here. So I'm going to go back, show you. So I just went over what I used them for, which was the hernia, but if you look down here, they've got a cholesterol solution, diabetes solution, high blood pressure, something to help out with kidney stones and gallbladder stones. I've got liver support. They've got things for muscular pains. They've got a nail fungus solution So yeah, they have all sorts of different treatments here. I mean, look at this list of all these different things here. So I'll throw a link to this and the next person I'm going to talk about in the description of this video like I normally do, so you guys can go check them out for yourself. But I really just wanted to highlight Hunter's Natural Health here. I've never spoken with them personally, never had any interactions with them other than me going to their website and purchasing this hernia bundle to help out myself. So I just wanted to give a shout out to them and let other people know that this website is here, and they have lots of natural cures that are outside of the medical industrial complex, the centralized system that controls us and makes us sick rather than making us better. So moving on from that, I have a friend locally. Her name is Rochelle. Here's her picture here on the screen. So she is the owner and creator of Divine Source, and it is all plant-based medicines. She forages for most of them, or she finds them, she grows them, or she finds other people that grows them. So they're all organic and natural plant-based medicines. She's really educated herself on a lot of this. And so with my hernia issue, it's given me some other digestive tract issues. So I went with my kids last week to see her to get some of her medicines, some of her natural medicines. So I'm going to go over those real quick. But I just wanted to show you her website. It's divinesourceco.com. Click on here so you guys can look at some of her products while I'm going through what I got from her. So she made me just a custom mixture here. I told her kind of what my issues were. And so she mixed me up a custom mixture right there in front of me. Rochelle, I do feel like you're trying to poison me. It does not taste good at all, but I will say I've been taking it for about a week and a half now, and I feel much more regularity in my digestive system. I guess that would be a good way to put it. So it does seem to be working. This has calendula, chamomile, feverfew, dandelion root, marshmallow root, and burdock root. And this is a tincture. I believe this is with some kind of alcohol that she created that tincture with. She does also do some with glycerin, and I'll show you one of those here in a little bit. But yeah, so she made this up for me right there when I was talking to her with my kids. And I want to show you a couple other things we got from her. My daughter fell. She's been snowboarding a lot recently and fell and hurt her tailbone, so she's been experiencing some pain. Rather than take ibuprofen for it or something like that, we asked Rochelle from Divine Source if she had anything that could help us out with that. So she had some of this white willow bark ready to go. This one is made with glycerin, so it actually tastes kind of sweet. My daughter likes it. So she said it helped her. My son also, he had a pretty good headache last weekend when he was with me, so we gave him some to see if it helped him, and he said it helped. So yeah, that's white willow bark, and this is made with just white willow bark and organic white willow bark and organic glycerin. So pretty much everything she uses is organic, I believe. My son has pretty bad allergies, so we got some sinus ease from her. So this is a mixture that she has that is supposed to help you out with the stuffy nose when your sinuses are clogged. And this has all this stuff is organic. I'm probably gonna mess up how I say it, but organic hyssop, organic nettle, organic plantain, organic yarrow, and organic alcohol to make this one. So this is an alcohol-based tincture. But you just take, 2 or 3 dropperfuls of it 2 to 3 times a day, and that'll help out with your sinuses. So as allergies start to come back in this spring, I'll probably be getting some more of this from her and using it for my son and myself. I do have a little bit of allergies myself, and I don't like taking typical allergy medications. Like, I can't even think of them. It's been so long since I took any of them. I know the last one I took was from Costco. It was called Allertech. But I shouldn't really have to be taking any of those anymore if this is helpful to me. So hopefully that's going to work out. And the next thing is, I was just interested in this. I haven't even used it yet. But she gave me a little bottle of stinging nettle tincture. And so this just has organic stinging nettles and gluten-free vodka in it. So she's done a really good job of packaging all her materials, all the stuff she has. You can see here on the website, she's got a pretty extensive inventory of things. And like I said, the best thing about it is if you're not sure what you need, you can just start talking to her about what some of your issues are, and she will help you find a treatment for it, a natural plant-based treatment for it. So I hope you guys got something out of this. Like I said, I'm going to put links to both of these websites in the description of this video like I normally do. Please go check them out. I know they would appreciate that. If you reach out to them, let them know that Corey from Questionable Authority sent you. And again, I just want to reiterate, this is not a paid promotion. I didn't receive anything from these people for doing this. I'm just doing it because I feel like this is a topic we need to start talking about more. And if more people see that other people are stepping outside of the medical industrial complex to treat our ailments with things like this, then maybe it will become more common, because more and more people will just start to do it and leave the medical industrial complex behind, because they are not helping us. I think we can see, as a result of this whole COVID's thing and the jab they tried to get us all to take, they're not there to help us. They're there to treat an ailment instead of cure it, and possibly cause more issues down the road that they can just treat later and bleed us dry in the end of our life, when we're supposed to be retired and enjoying all the resources and everything we have accumulated through our life of hard work. Instead, we end up selling it all off and paying all of our money to the medical industrial complex so that they can have it rather than our families. Anyways, that's just my 2 cents. I hope you guys got something from this. We'll see you next week with another Counter Economy show. Until then, always remember to live free. Thanks for joining me for this video. If you like my content, share it. It's the best way to support the efforts of this channel, and only takes a couple of clicks. Most importantly, stop using big tech platforms and decentralize. Share this from a decentralized and blockchain-based platform to help spread the word about them.